You gave me life some time ago. With a large family, you took it slow by showing us love and all that it's worth. Both you and Mom showed us through all your hard work. Having a father as special as you showed me how to live my life through. You're my dad, my only one, and I'm very proud to be. Every night I thank the Lord above. You're my dad, my flesh and blood. You gave to me some time ago a father's love that I'll cherish and hold. Having your love through all these years, it gave me strength to live my life with no fear. It makes me smile, and I want you to know you're in my heart wherever I go. You're my dad, my only one, and I'm very proud to be. Every night I thank the Lord above. You're my dad, my flesh and blood. You're my dad, my only one, and I'm very proud to be. Every night I thank the Lord above. You're my dad, my flesh and blood. You taught me things, Dad, so long ago, to be the best and how to achieve all my goals. Coming from you, Dad, it's a true love, I know. A kind of love that only a father can show. I thank you then, Dad, for all you've done, and I thank you now. I love you, Dad, for showing me how. You're my dad, my only one, and I'm very proud to be. Every night I thank the Lord above. You're my dad, my flesh and blood. You're my dad, my only one, and I'm very proud to be. Every night I thank the Lord above. You're my dad, my flesh and blood. You're my dad, my flesh and blood. You're my dad, my only one.
Welcome to Riverside National Cemetery. On behalf of the director and staff, we offer our sincere condolences. And we thank you for choosing our cemetery as your loved one's final resting place. Today, for military honors, we will have rifle volleys, the playing of taps, and the folding and presentation of our nation's colors. For those of you who are prior service, active duty, or a first responder, you may render one final salute during the playing of taps. While others place your right hand on your heart. If anyone here does have sensitive hearing, I also recommend you cover your ears during the rifle volleys. At this time, if you're able, please stand for military honors. Family, please be seated.
United States Air Force and a grateful nation. Please accept this flag as a symbol of our appreciation for your loved one's honorable and faithful service to this country. Thank you. Thank you.
In this pouch are the casings from the rifle round fired in the movement.
Thank you, family. This time, this does conclude our military honors. I'd like to turn the service over to the family members. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That my dad had a dignified service and just dignified on his transition to the next one. I asked my sister to read this to indicate how responsible my dad was in the military and how much respect he had attained there.
So this right here is it's an evaluation report of Terry's time as a sergeant to show his work ethic and his performance as an airman in Vietnam. And it says, Airman Dyer displays outstanding abilities, initiative, and desire in the performance of his assigned duties. When presented a task, he strives to complete the work in minimum time with the utmost perfection. He has extensive knowledge of the security police career field and demonstrates a sincere desire to excel in all his duties. Due to his knowledge, experience, and sound judgment, he has been utilized on the more sensitive security posts. He is very proficient in security, alert team deployment, and works extremely well as a team player. During several prolonged security police alerts, Airman Dyer set the example for his fellow airmen by his appearance, discipline, and ability to remain calm during the time of tension. During those alerts, he was deployed in several areas subject to hostile fire. In May 1968, the installation came under mortar attack 3 times. On 2 of the occasions, Airman Dyer volunteered as member of the Quick Reaction Team, which was deployed as a blocking force to repel a suspected ground attack, while posted as observation detection tower sentry on the base perimeter. His immediate and accurate reports have resulted in several indigenous personnel being apprehended while attempting unauthorized entry into the base. Strengths. Airman Dyer is a loyal and conscientious individual. His military bearing, courtesy, discipline, and personal appearance are above reproach. Recommend his promotion well ahead of his contemporaries.
Thank you, Stephanie. Okay, well, of course, for my father. Thank you all for coming. I'd like to share with you of an experience that I had with my dad, Terry William Dyer. On an episode of a TV show called Andy Griffith, Andy's son Opie had been given the wrong report card. Both Andy and Opie were surprised to see that Opie received straight A's. Andy expressed so much pride for that his son was an A student. When the teacher told him she made a mistake, that Opie did not receive straight A's, Opie ran away. Eventually, Andy found his son Opie and told him that he, the dad, made a mistake, and that was giving the wrong impression. He never meant to make Opie feel like he had to be something he's not. He said, "You do the best you can, and I'll be proud of you no matter what." He told Opie that he was proud of him because he's his son. No one else is his son. He was proud that Opie is his son. My dad had asked me, why do we love him so much? Before he had asked me this, we didn't spend as much time together like we should have. He had broken his arm and his hip, and he needed a miracle. Then I did something I haven't done in a very long time. I looked for guidance in God. The answer had always been there. Thou shalt honor thy mother and father. So to answer his question, I said, this is going to sound ambiguous, but it's going to make a lot of sense. The answer is God. To which he smiled too. But what does that mean? What does God mean? Why did my dad smile? Under the guidance of hospice, I nursed him back to health. His arm and hip healed as best it could. During that time, we would watch TV shows like Andy Griffith together, including the aforementioned episode. It's when we had watched that episode that I was really spending time with my dad. I believe that the Lord gave us an opportunity to spend time together so that we could serve the Lord, and ironically, within our best interest. My dad had stopped using the Lord's name in vain, and I got to tell my dad, "You want to know why I love you so much? Because you're my dad. That's why." And God gave us this opportunity to know one another. That's what that means. It encompasses so much of the unspoken. Terry William Dyer was my dad, and I was his son, and that's reason enough. As we know, my dad has passed away, but we are grateful for the experiences he has given us. For obvious reasons, I'm especially grateful that my dad asked my mom to marry him, which was on the first day he met her. She said no, at first, but love was in the air. From serving our country to having a family or simply cracking a joke, Terry Sr. had affected us in many ways. On November 23, 1966, the Saratoga newspaper indicated Terry William Dyer had been assigned to Castle Air Force Base. Throughout his career, he received glowing recommendations across the board that depicted a disciplined, respectful, and honorable member of the United States Air Force. In retirement, I'd have the opportunity to spend quality time together with Sergeant Dyer as he reminisced of the good old days by watching another favorite show called Baba Black Sheep. Military characters like Major Boyington and Captain Hirachi are somewhat relatable to him. Their relationship with each other characterizes my dad's philosophy about the world. When I watched that episode with him, he was inspired that the people who had tried to kill each other, Boyington and Hirachi, could share a cigarette after the battle. My dad believes to love thy enemy. He believes that the context of a moment matters. Your adversary on the battlefield could be your friend outside the war. Despite his tough exterior, Terry Sr. valued people. Speaking of valuing people, when I was young, I idolized my dad. I'd wear trucker hats, and so he'd wear trucker hats, and so I would too. He'd be the cool guy on the motorcycle who would pick me up after school. He was so cool that he would flirt with every nurse. Of course, that was after he made it perfectly clear that my lovely mom was an ex. Despite the divorce, he very much cared about my mom. Although the child support probably could have been better, but when times were tough, and there were plenty of times that were tough, my dad helped us tremendously. I can't help but to compare my mom and dad to the sitcom Married with Children. As my divorced dad flirts with a nurse, my mom comes into the room and calls for him, kind of similar to a typical scene with the show's characters, Al and Peggy. You would just swap the names. Peggy, in a high-pitched tone, would say, "Ow!" My mom, "Terry!" And my dad, in a reluctant baby sort of way, says, "What do you want now?" I told him that he and my mom were like Al and Peggy. It was pretty funny. He laughed at that and apparently agreed. I told my mom that too. She laughed as well. Without my mom, it would have been impossible to help my dad. So from the bottom of our hearts, my dad and I say thank you, Peggy. I mean, Mom. My Uncle Daryl also valued the relationship he had with his brother. Although he could not be here in person today, I know how much he loved his brother Terry. It was always a pleasure in hearing them interact with each other over the phone. As you might have guessed, it was like another TV show, just like the brothers on Everybody Loves Raymond. Just kidding. But yeah, the connection they had was brotherly for sure. My uncle mentioned that my dad was like a little neighborhood entrepreneur. When they were young, they had convinced the neighborhood kids to invest in their local business. I can imagine that everybody loved the Dyers. My dad once told me that he was like Fraser's dad, and I was Fraser. He thought of me as the smart one, and he thought of himself as the tough one. On a day of delivering newspapers, my dad had an accident and spent a month in the hospital recovering from a broken foot. In his later years, he had a disc problem in his back. He also developed COPD. Then, as you know, in his final years, he broke his hip and arm, yet he survived the surgery. Yeah, he is most definitely a tough cookie. He even took a bite from Cookie, his bird. As for me, well, it was a compliment when he asked me where did I get my brain from. He implied it wasn't him. This, however, does not exactly depict reality. I get the totality of me from a combination of stimuli. One is the environment, and another is genetics. I am his son, and he is my dad. I'm grateful to the Lord, for the Lord is good. He allowed us to know one another. I love you, Dad, and thank you.
Everybody got something. He was generous and thoughtful. A joker. Sometimes cascarrabias, I don't know how to say that.
Foul sometimes.
And his famous thing that I don't
Can't
know,
do here.
which you know which finger, right? No. Every picture, his mother used to be upset with him and said, "Jerry, stop it." He says, "What, Mom?" And he'll do it again. He was something else in that. Oh, with Tita. Tita and Tita liked wine, to drink wine, and so did he. And that's what memory your mother has, Rosie. Him coming over with a bottle of wine for Tita. But above all, he was my friend at the end. And of course, I was gonna take care of him too. And I'm just happy that he's not suffering anymore. And he's up there with his mom, my mom, his dad, and everyone who has passed that we're gonna meet someday. I don't know what else to say. I'm so proud of my son. Thank you, Terry, for taking care of him. No son or daughter would not all of them would do what you did.
Not all of them can, because they might not have the opportunity, because they might be working, they might have a family themselves. So, you know, I was in a position in which I could take care of my dad. That's why I thank you, Mom, because you helped us out. And my dad had helped me out as well. I told him several times that he helped me become a better person. He saved my life. He doesn't even know it. Like, in many ways, I thank him, He thanked me, I thank him. It's like, you don't even know it. It's in the Bible. It's like, thou shalt honor thy mother and father. And there's a reason for that. You know, it makes us better people, it makes us adults, I think. And it certainly did with me. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to have helped him transition into the next life. And, you know, he's not suffering anymore. He always wanted to go, but at least he didn't die by suicide or anything of that sort. He died knowing that people loved him. So that's a good thing.
With a smile.
With a smile on his face. He had a smile when I found him in the morning. Yeah, when I saw him in the morning, he had a smile on his face. And I made sure every moment was it was peaceful for him. I wanted him to know love. He needed to know that. He needed to, if he left, not to leave nihilistic or whatever. He needed to leave with dignity and hope and love, and that's what we need to do. So yeah.
We love you, Terry.
Thank you.
Love you too. I love you guys too.